tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys the basics of Unity3D. Now I have done this before, but I did it fast and it was one of my first tutorials and it just didn't turn out the greatest. So I'm going to do it again, but this time I'm going to do it slower and I'm going to show you more. So this is Unity right here. Now, if you do not have Unity installed, I recommend you go install that. You need to go to Unity3D.com, go to Get Unity, and under Free, click Download Now. Now, once you've done that, it takes a while to install, about an hour to 2 hours, depending on your computer. This is basically what it looks like when you open it up. It looks a little advanced. I mean, it's pretty simple. So let me go over all of the different tabs. So first, this is your main scene view, your 3D view, behind the scenes of the game pretty much. This is where you're actually going to be playing your game, the game view down here. Over here is your hierarchy. This is where basically you're going to be handling all of the different objects that you're going to be using for your game. Next up, we have the inspector over here. So if you select your game object in your hierarchy or your scene view, over here shows the properties of that game object. So if I select this light here, over here in the inspector, I can see the name, I can see the tag, the layer, the position, rotation, and the scale, and also the other properties of it. So in this case, it is a directional light, which means it has a light property on it, the type of directional. And basically, I'm going to go over this one real quick. So this property is intensity, so how light it is. And so as you can see, there's multiple different properties that you can add to a object. So if you see add component, there's different components you can add to each object to give it different results. So that is the inspector. Next, you have the project view. This is where all your files come into play. Your 3D models, your scripts, your animations, your animators, your animation controllers, your prefabs, your materials, all that stuff. That is the project view. So that is very, very important. This is also where you have all your folders. Next, we have the windows up here. So these are basically where you save, where you edit objects, where you add objects, where you edit the project view over here, where you add components. We also have the windows, and then also the help right here. Okay, so that's all of the windows right there. Let me show you the different tools now. So first we need to add an object to use the tools on. So under game object up here, click game object. Put your mouse over 3D object. Move it over and add a cube, a sphere, a capsule, cylinder, plane, or quad, whichever one. I'm going to add a plane. And then I'm going to move it down. Then I'm going to add a cube. Now, over here you can see the tools. So you can manually select these. So let's go ahead and move this around. We can rotate it. We can scale it. So to move around your scene, you hold right click and you can press the arrow keys. You can hold the middle click button on your mouse to pan. And you can hold shift and right, let's see, shift, control, yeah, all that stuff to move around. Okay, so now that we have our cube here, if we went up here and clicked play, nothing really happens in the game view. Now, something is happening, but it's not really happening. There's no physics to our game objects right now. So you know how I told you about this inspector here? We're going to add a component called a rigid body. This gives the object gravity. Now we don't want to give the full gravity or else it'll fall and that would be bad. Okay, so if we played this now, it falls. So now we have actual gravity in the game. But it's still not really a game. And that's where C# comes in, or Unity script. or JavaScript. We're going to be doing that in the next tutorial, but we're not going to be doing that right now. I'm just going to be showing you guys a little bit more about Unity and how to get around in it. Okay, so that is basically how to make a game object have gravity. But what if you want a game object to move? So what you're going to do is add a component called constant force, and you can force it in whatever direction. So up here you have the X and Z axis, and I'm going to make it go on the X axis by 100. Actually, we'll just do 50. And we're going to uncheck use gravity to where it doesn't actually have gravity. As you can see, it's moving. Let's set it to 10. So as you can see, the game object is moving. By the way, if you want to follow a game object like I am doing, you can press F or F twice to constantly follow it. Okay, so that is how to make a game object move and make a game object fall. Now, what about like making rooms and all that? Now, that's where Blender comes in. It is a 3D modeling software that you can use with Unity. You can also use 3ds Max or Maya, but Blender is, I think, one of the best to use with it. And basically, all you need to do is go into Blender, save it into the assets folder, and you're going to have your Blender file, and then you can pull it in here. But we're not going to be doing that today. I'm going to be showing you guys how to create different folders and stuff like that in the project manager. So go ahead and right click in it, create folder. I'm going to create one called scripts. That's not how you spell. Let's delete that. Folder called scripts. There we go. And we'll create another one called materials. And let's just create another one called prefabs. I'm going to show you the prefabs in a different tutorial, but I will show you the materials today. So, you're going to go ahead and right click into the project view, project manager, project view. Go into materials folder, right click, and then add a material. We're going to name this cube. Over here in the inspector, you can see that there is multiple different properties. We have the shader, the rendering mode, the color, the metallic, the smoothness, the normal map, the height map, all those textures, the emission, the tiling, the offset of all of the images and all that, but we're just going to be focusing on the color. So, if you click the white color board right there, you can change the color. So let's go ahead and make this a purple. Actually, let's do like a turquoise thing. A light blue. There we go. And we'll drag the material. So just click it and drag it onto the cube. We're going to create another material. We're going to call this one plain. It's not how you spell. Actually, let's just call this one grass. You can call it anything you want to. It doesn't need to be an actual word. It could be anything. And we're going to make this green and pull it to the ground. Now, that is basically the basics of Unity right there. We have the materials, we have all the windows, we have how to add objects, how to do rigid bodies, how to make stuff have gravity, and all that stuff, like the inspector, all the properties of the materials, all the properties of the objects, like this one. So yeah, that is the basics of Unity, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.